Well, 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 look who it is. Hey everyone, it's Beacon of Hype, back after what I can only describe as a very, very lengthy hiatus from our last upload. Without going into too many details, let me just say that it's been a very, very bumpy, sometimes scenic, sometimes not so scenic road that I've been on from the last time that we had uploaded a video here. But I want to make sure, like anything else, I'm a completionist at heart. So we're here to wrap up hopefully we might be able to get this last installment in of our virtual murder series, case number 3, which is Who Killed Brett Penance, the environmental surfer. So we are, from the last time, which was quite a long time ago, I had to watch the last couple of minutes of our last video to get an idea where we were here. So we were on scenario number 3, which I'm going to get us set up for right now. And we had gone ahead and played through the report of the murder, which in this instance Brett has been strangled to death. First scenario, he was shot. Second scenario, he was actually, basically drowned, but it was a result of being poisoned by nicotine. So this one, the third and final scenario for his murder, they get right down to the basics and just have him getting choked to death. So we are going from what we left last time. We just played the report of the murder. And so I think if we take a look at the crime scene, it's going to be relatively basic, just like it was for the last couple of times that we had actually looked at the body. There really wasn't a whole lot that could be ascertained in terms of forensics. So we just hit this, and it kind of tells us all these different tests that can be done, right? But notice how none of them pop up on the actual crime scene, except for the documents one. So if we click on that, so all we have is there are a man's size 9.5 footprints leading up to the body from the direction of the parking lot on the other side of the dunes, very deeply embedded in the sand, and are estimated to have been made by someone weighing approximately 305 pounds. Footprints of the same size return to the lot in approximately the same direction that are bearing the weight of 165 pounds. Another interesting point. We've checked, and Penance's body is above the high tide mark for this morning's tide. So it was impossible for the tide to place him where he is. So that tells us that whoever this person is that has left these footprints behind, size 9.5, they obviously, and you can tell even from the picture, that his body was dragged here. It wasn't the result of natural causes with the tide doing any work for him. And now we noticed, since I clicked on that, we have highlighted Lucy Farewell. Let's see what she has to say.
It looks to me like Penance was killed someplace else and returned here to the beach to make it look like he was killed while surfing. A pretty crude attempt, if I say so myself.
Okay. So, thus far, between the way that he was killed and the way that the scene has been apparently staged by the killer, it's being presented as if it was kind of like not a very well thought out murder compared to the last couple of instances where obviously the nicotine being rubbed into his wetsuit and the intricate plot to have him shot while he was surfing. We're getting a lot more caveman-esque with this one. So as we've done in the last couple of scenarios, obviously we know that we have certain suspects that we are eliminating from consideration because they've already been found guilty of murder in the other 2 scenarios. So we know we're not going to be accusing Al Ciprano again, nor are we going to be accusing Stella Gibbs again. So there's still this selection here of 7 possible killers. Interesting, we have got a size 9.5 shoe here to work with, and it was a men's size. So we've got Amos Johnson, we've got our buddy Edward Talaman again, Frederick Kinsella, which I think is a long shot considering what we know about his comings and goings, but still he's there. And another buddy, Jason Turley, who's a fellow surfer dude with Penance, but seems to have his issues. So we've already done all the interviews. From what I can gather, again, we figured out from last time that the interviews with the suspects are no different than they were in the other scenarios, so there's nothing really that we can learn from these. So we're going to go to the witnesses and see if anything possibly changes with any of their statements. I think the ones that we know don't change are his surfer friends Carlos and Randy Howland. Same can be said with Frida and Harriet. I think the only 2 that we know about that could change in terms of the times that Brett was seen and the people he was interacting with would be Courtney Rook, who was out walking her dog, and Joel Franklin, who was watching the rainstorm that was coming through. So we're going to see if anything changes with those 2. Let's try Courtney first.
Your name?
Courtney Rook, you want to know about the dead guy, right?
Yes, we do.
Well, see, there was a guy out surfing last night. The waves were really, really big, so it was kind of hard to see him because the rain was so heavy. But I didn't see anyone else.
Do you remember the exact time?
It was getting kind of dark. I was out looking for my dog Sam because he has to be in before dinner. That's the rule. So it was maybe 15 minutes before 6. We eat at 6. That's how come I know the time. But just before I went in, I saw the surfer guy coming out of the water.
Was there anyone else?
Yep. There was someone in a green sweater walking over the dunes towards him. I think it was a girl.
Okay, so we got this similar time and everything, but shows that someone was there talking to Brett and they were wearing a green sweater. Maybe resembled a female, but who knows. So we got that. Let's try Joel and see if he noticed anything that changes from his last interview.
My name is Joel Franklin. I have a summer house on Surfside, the beach where the victim disappeared. I didn't know him, but yesterday when the storm was coming up, I was outside. I love thunderstorms, have since I was a kid. This one was a beaut. It was about 10 minutes to 6. I looked up the beach toward the west. I hadn't expected to see anyone, so when I did, I was surprised. There was a young man about a quarter of a mile off. He was talking to another person, someone with long hair, blondish brown. It could have been a woman. Anyway, the 2 of them stood there in the thunder and pouring rain talking. After a few minutes, they walked up over the dunes toward the public parking lot. That's all I know.
Mr. Franklin, do you remember if the other person was taller or shorter than the surfer?
A little taller.
Okay, I think that one might be different. That part at the end. Because I want to say when we interviewed him and he was identifying essentially Stella Gibbs as being there, he said the person was much shorter. So I think, well, that is one change. All right, and the other ones we know are all kind of already set in their ways as far as what we learn about the other suspects that are named. So let's see. I think what we have to do for alibis is the people that we're gonna suspect. We have to kind of do the whole like run through of we have to get their interviews down in order to even get their alibis. So let's go with Braxton. Although I doubt she wears a men's size 9.5, but who knows? Alright, so that counts as interviewing her, so we're not gonna have to worry about that. Let's get Jason Turley out of the way. Yes.
Just to remind you, Detective, you've used 1 hour and you have 5 left.
So we got Jason done. Let's get Amos Johnson done. Okay. Margaret Harden. Margaret is another unique one in that she's so connected to the scenario involving Al Soprano that it's weird to think that she'd be in a position that she would have killed Brett herself. But just get Edward too.
Excuse me, there are 4 hours remaining. Have you tried retracing the victim's route?
Yes. Well, not yet. We have previously, just not in this scenario. So for Edward, we're going to have to consider the fact that he also admitted or was confessing in scenario number 2 about allowing the Elias brothers in past the gate, even though Stella Gibbs actually was the murderer. So, I mean, we're going to still have him in the mix, I guess. He could still be involved. Maybe he did more this time than just allowing people past the gate. Maybe he actually took part. I think, again, we've got these two out of the way. Cynthia Rhodes is kind of like this particular virtual murders version of Abelinek from the Sam Rupert case, right? Where she's there in the mix of everything, but aside from one little snide remark, she really has not been in a position to do anything about actually being the murderer in any scenario. So I think we're all set with her, but I see this popped up now after we clicked on Edward. Let's find out what happens.
Kinsella keeps a butler and cook at the South Fork house full time. I asked them about the car and the boat. It could just be job protection. Then again, the main house is several hundred yards and many trees away.
Okay. That had to have been something to do with Edward Talman as far as the boathouse he was renting. Kinsella, I don't know, I guess we'll get his interview out of the way anyway, just to, on the off chance maybe it's something different. Alright, so let's go to alibis. Now we got the interviews out of the way. And let's start with Amos, I guess.
Amos Johnson was driving around and has no alibi to speak of for the time of death, as he states himself. His rather belligerent roommate, one George Ruggins, did verify his return home at exactly 8:11 p.m. It sounded like Ruggins was watching the clock.
Okay. So that didn't change from the last scenario. Alright, so let's go to Margaret. These things auto-played.
I checked at the Hyde Inn. They did have 2 men checked in under the name Elias. They arrived yesterday morning by car. The men were picked up by Margaret Harden yesterday afternoon sometime around 4. Agnes Hyde said there was something very strange about them. They were dressed entirely in black and paid for their rooms up front in cash. And then they checked out right after Margaret dropped them off at 7. They never even spent the night. Their forwarding number does not exist.
Okay. So again, the same angle with the Elias brothers. Try Eddie.
Edward Talaman was alone between 5 and 7. When I went by to chat earlier today, there were still fresh ashes in his fireplace, and his computer was still unplugged from the storm last night. In effect, he has no strict alibi to speak of for the estimated time of death, but what's missing here is motive. Talaman didn't even know who Brett Penance was. He apparently hasn't even known Kinsella for that long.
But, alright, but we already know that in the other scenarios, that's not the truth. He actually has known Kinsella long enough to, or longer than what we think we have here. Alright, so we'll probably have to do our deal where I kind of back out of this and I start up again so we have a reloaded amount of time.
Detective, you're
Yes.
halfway there. The autopsy should be ready by now, shouldn't they?
Shh.
Kinsella's alibi checks out. Several people saw him at the Turner Lewis Gallery in Manhattan between 5:30 and 6:20. The seaplane pilot corroborates that he left Manhattan with Kinsella at around 6:40 and flew straight to South Fork. That also checks out with FAA records. The seaplane pilot mentioned that despite the bumpy air, Kinsella requested a flyby over Surfside Beach. Since the Gibbs's farm is over a mile away, I'd like to know what he was looking for. Kinsella himself couldn't have killed Brett Penance, but I wouldn't rule him out as connected to the murder in some way.
Okay, so yeah, again, we have just like the first scenario with Al. Like, he just, odds are he's not the actual, like, physical murderer, but he could have ordered it. What do you got for Jason here?
There is no real way to confirm this alibi. Turley's doctor's appointment in Manhattan was at 10 in the morning. He left by 11. The doorman at his parents' building at 1022 Fifth Avenue saw him enter the building a half an hour later. That's the last time anyone can verify seeing him. The doorman never saw him leave. I checked at the garage where he keeps his car, and they said he called for it at 8 in the morning and never returned it. He's missing for most of the day and could easily have made it out to South Fork in time to commit murder.
Okay, so he's definitely in the running, and I don't know.
Braxton Smith was seen at the post office when she says she was near 5 o'clock. She checked into her health club at 5:15, or so she wrote. I checked the log, and several people above her had signed in as late as 6 o'clock. Also, I can't find any positive IDs until after 6. One member thinks he saw her lifting weights, but he isn't sure. She was at the airport to meet her husband's flight, which arrived 10 minutes late at 6:55 due to weather. This leaves a hole near the time of death.
And he was apparently seen talking to somebody that fits a female's description. I don't know. Let's do other resources, and we got 2.5 hours. Let's try retracing the route, because we already know essentially what his room looks like in terms of the whole Fossil Cove angle, where he has the contact of the woman that actually gave him the proper zoning results and numbers. That was that, and it's just the tape saying he was going to be meeting the journalist to drop off said documents. Nothing else really about the room was notable. So let's try retracing the route and see if anything different is here, which I believe, yeah, some of these people are definitely different from the last time. Okay. Let's do this, start from scratch.
Like I told you, Brett left the house around 4. He said said he had a few errands to run before going down to surf, and then he'd be home by 7. He didn't say what his errands were.
Okay. So, that's at 4 o'clock. So, one could think he had to have gone down here to the pharmacy, I believe, on Summer Street. Yep. Look at that wig.
I'm the pharmacist at Village Drugs. The Penance boy stopped by late afternoon and bought a copy of the latest issue of Surf magazine. I checked the cash register tape to be certain. It keeps a record of the item, amount, and the time of purchase. It was 4:34 to be exact. I asked Brett about his lower back. It had been bothering him the past few months, and he'd been using a mentholated rub I recommended called Ices. He said the rub was helping.
Okay. So nothing of note. That was at 4:31. I can't remember if he went to the gas station next to the library, but let's see what the library tells us. Definitely a different person than the last two scenarios.
My name is Ellen Webster. I was the librarian on duty at 4:20 when Brett Penance stopped by. He returned a copy of the new biography about J. Edgar Hoover. He took out a copy of a novel called Vindication about the life of Mary Wollstonecraft. He didn't stop to chat like he sometimes does. Said he was heading out to catch the waves.
Okay. That was at 4:20. Okay. So he actually went from his house to the library first, then to the pharmacy. Let's find out when he fueled up.
Brett stopped by for $5 in gas a little after 4. I know because he asked the time. It was 7 after. He and I were chatting about the storm that was coming in. He said it was surfing weather. There's one thing for sure, is that boy loved to surf. He was on his way by 10 after. He turned in the direction of the village.
Okay. Alright, so he actually, okay. He did a lot of more bouncing around than I thought. Went from his house to the gas station, then to the library, then to the pharmacy. And let's see who this is.
My name is Olga Hardy. I'm president of the local garden club. I live on the road to Surfside Beach. I was out deadheading my roses when Brett drove by and beeped. It was just a few minutes before 5 yesterday. He was a wonderful, wonderful young man. I'm just heartbroken for Janet.
Okay, so that really didn't tell us anything. Let's see what we have to learn if anything's changed with Lucy's account here.
Brett met his friends here at 5 minutes to 5. It's about 15 minutes from Village Drugs on East Main in normal traffic. So allowing for the weekend, I'd say he came straight here from the drugstore. His friends waited for him for just a few minutes.
Alright, so we didn't really learn much of anything, honestly. Alright. Non-testimonial evidence. Let's see if we can isolate that just to the people that, at this point, who we're really suspecting the most. Honestly, I mean, we're dealing with a men's size 9.5 shoe to worry about as far as the footprints on the scene. And I'm thinking that kind of isolates it to the remaining male suspects we have here. So, if we click on Ed...
It's your chief speaking. Only 2 hours left to solve this murder. The Chamber of Commerce is having a conniption fit about this. They say murder is all wrong for their vacation image. You're telling me.
Okay, so shoe size 10, weight 170, so no positive match for anything at the scene. Alright, so he's out. He's that we know of. Anus. No positive matches on the scene of the crime. So again, size 10. Yeah, nothing that really matches up. I mean, again, long shot, but might as well throw Kinsella in while we're at it. Shoe size 11, so even more, we're getting even more out of our range as far as what we're looking to do with shoe sizes. No positive fingerprints anywhere. Jason. Oh boy. Positive matches to prints at the crime scene. Shoe size 9.5. And the weight imprints on the set of footprints that probably wasn't affected by the water, making it look like it was a 305-pound person that was in the 160s range. Tire prints also a positive match to a set at the scene. All right, at this point, I think we know what we're doing, right, guys? So let's see what this says.
Turley's parents are extremely rich, and he's obviously indulged. His car lists for $22,000 and reaches speeds of 140 miles per hour.
That's it? Okay. Alright, so I think if it isn't blatantly obvious at this point, we know who our killer is. What do you think? We've got an hour and 19 minutes. Do you think we can possibly get through this? Now this will be, if we can get through the press conference one time and then maybe have a couple of extra minutes to just do an in-depth interview with Jason and then accuse him, maybe we can get this done in one shot without me having to refuel on time. But let's see. When did Mrs. Penance first report her son missing? It was the following morning, right? No. Was it? Oh, man. Where did Brett Penance plan to attend college? Brown? Oh, my God. I don't think we're going to be able to get through this without me refueling on time, so... but we'll still try for it. What was Margaret Harden doing at the estimated time of death? Showing real estate to a movie producer? No. Showing real estate to some clients named Elias? Yes. How many registered voters are there? Oh, man. This one I used to cringe at. 1850? Nope. We definitely lost this thing already. Does Amos Johnson have an alibi? No, he doesn't. What did Frederick Kinsella's servants report seeing at the boathouse last night? Yeah. That was probably a curveball. What kind of farming did Stella Gibbs do before her husband died? Potato farm. Which suspects have men's size 9.5 feet? Jason's there. I guess... But we know it's not Amos. We know it's not Edward either. So it's got to be this one? Yeah. So, okay. What substance was found all over the victim's body in profusion? No substance, right? Not in this case. What is Jason Turley's girlfriend's name? Andrea. Yeah, deep breath.
I've seen better press conferences, Detective. I think we need to do a little more investigating.
Alright. Well, I'll do one better than that, boss. I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button on this real quick. Do our usual, where I'm going to just back out and get us back in with a lot more time to play around with. And that way we don't have to be, too stingy with our time for in-depth interviews and accusations as far as our warrant reports. So please hold. And we're back. There's the projection. Okay, always sounds like he's had a few. And we're back at our original start time of 6 hours. Yes, we know what we're doing. Oh, good. Starting out with an easy one. We got Andrea again. What kind of car does Stella Gibbs drive? It was I think it was like an off-white Chrysler, or was it a truck? Not the truck. What is Cynthia Rhodes' boyfriend's name? It's Al. Not Soprano, but... Where did Frederick Kinsella first go yesterday evening after leaving the office? Oh. Was it the museum? No, that's two wrong already. What book was found in the back of the seat of the victim's car? Vindication. How many engineers work for Amos Johnson's firm? 5? Oh man, we're gonna have to do this again. How many sets of identified fingerprints found in the victim's car's front seat? 3? Nope. Man, I might as well just kill this whole thing out. Whom does Janet Penance suspect in the death of her only child? Kinsella, right? No? Wow. How many sets of unidentified tire prints? Man. Elias, we knew that. Where does Owens Gibbs Jr. work? Feed? Man, probably the local hardware store there. Who did Brett Penance go surfing with yesterday afternoon? It was Carlos and Randy. Does Cynthia Rhodes date Frederick Kinsella? No. What was the appropriate? Like there should be one. What was approximate time of death? Sometimes between 5 and 7. What were most developments that Cynthia Rhodes opposed located outside of her? Oh, the ones in her own neighborhood she was opposed to. Where was the body found? Surfside. What book was found in the back? We did this again, didn't we? Okay.
Great job,
nice.
Press, detective.
Okay.
You really let them know who's in control. At this point, you can conduct in-depth interviews with up to 3 suspects, or go straight to making your warrant application. Whatever you do, good luck.
I for sure thought I got too many wrong on that one. Alright, so let's play around with this. Alright, so we have Jason, who's our likely killer based on what we're being presented with. Just for the fun of it, we'll try Amos and Ed. Amos and Eddie? Okay. See if anything's possibly changed. I doubt it at this point. Let's see if any of these answers have changed. Because this one, Amos does not have an alibi. He never coughs one up.
No.
Okay. Edward Talman, do you know him?
Yes, we met last summer at Kinsella's house when I went to drop off some papers. He was a guest, I believe. He does those horrible zombie movies.
Okay. What's this?
Didn't Talman say he'd only known Kinsella a few months?
Okay, yeah, so that kind of, again, flies in the face of what we were told during his interview. So, just makes him sketchy. Any contact with Jason?
No, never.
Okay. This matters.
Left-handed. Left-handed.
That's weird. What size foot?
I wear a size 10.
Okay. Alright, so nothing of note really. Except confirming that Edward Talman is not being truthful about how long he's known Kinsella.
It was white, a sedan
Interesting. Some of these I'm just doing because it's just my memory's not really getting jogged by seeing the questions in writing, so I don't know what he actually said previously, but let's find out.
Well, I haven't known him all that long. We met at a party after the Academy Awards this spring. I was introduced by an investment banker friend. Fred is interested in investing in movies. We had dinner a few times. When I told him I was finishing up this screenplay, he offered the use of his guest house.
So so for whatever he's lying. Does he know Amos Johnson?
No.
Huh. Even though Amos just said he met him. What about Jason Turley?
Nick's on that one too. Unless he's Jack Turley's son. If he is, he's a rather morose young man in my opinion. I think I may have met him last weekend at a cocktail party.
Left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Size shoe?
Size 10. Small for my size.
Alright, so here we go with our most likely of all of them is Jason Turley. Let's see if we got any questions that... I guess we'll go through all of them since we have more than enough time now and see if it triggers any highlight reaction from Lucy or if it just changes entirely because of him possibly kind of like in The Magic Death, if we have any possible confessions hidden in here.
I left town around 4:30 and got to South Fork around 3 hours later. Traffic was heavy.
Okay. What did you do after you got left the doctor's office?
I hung out with some friends who have a place in the East Village. I drove another friend by Bronzeville on the way out.
What do you know about Kinsella?
He's a friend of my dad's and stepmom's. I've only met him at parties. What's the big deal? He didn't do it. He wouldn't concern himself with a lowlife like Penance.
Lowlife, huh? What about Al Cipriano?
Just to remind you,
Yes.
Detective, you've used 1 hour and you have 5 left.
Not a thing.
Okay. Margaret Harden.
She plays tennis with my stepmom and sells real estate.
We're getting a lot of info, huh? Ever met Braxton Smith?
Sure. Real uptight. Married to Lloyd Smith, who makes about $5 million a year on the street. He's cool.
I forgot. I remember that part. It's like, hey, as long as they're in $5 million a year, they're cool. Have you ever had contact with Stella Gibbs?
No.
Okay. Do you know Edward Talman?
Never heard of him.
Are you left-handed?
Sure. What are you getting at?
Huh. Interesting. No highlights there, but okay. Mr. Turley, what are your fingerprints doing in the front seat of Brett Penance's car?
I saw it parked in the street the other day, so I thought I'd steal it. Just play a little joke on a friend. But the keys weren't in it, so I left it. Not that you couldn't hotwire a piece of junk like that.
Okay, and straight to the point, did you kill Brett Penance?
No! I already told you. No, I didn't kill him.
Okay. How much do you weigh?
Around 165.
That was a very cold... that kind of gave me a chill for some reason. I don't know why. Just the answer was very like, what are you getting at? Alright, so here we are. Warrant application time. So, what do you think we should do here? I'm thinking, again, we got 4.5 hours in gameplay hours, I should say. let's go ahead and so in this case he was strangled, so it's got to say he was strangled by force with hands. Let's go, I guess, with something basic like anger, right? Because what I think we're going to do is we're going to try to see if Edward, see if, we could be dead wrong. Maybe Edward did do it. But I want to see if it triggers a confession again, like an indirect one, where he's helping Margaret again, like he did last time. He has no real alibi. He was alone.
Everything about this makes sense to me except the motive. I cannot grant you a warrant to arrest, Detective. Please check the facts and reapply.
Okay, interesting. All right, so Ed, we gotta do something a little more intricate than anger, I guess, huh? So he's, temporary insanity, pride, hatred, money or business. I mean, there's a Kinsella connection.
Excuse me, there are 4 hours remaining. Have you tried retracing the victim's route?
I think your motive for this suspect is a bit of a long shot considering the facts, but I'll grant you a warrant.
I'm not proud of my involvement in this in any way, but I never thought it was going to involve murder. Someone from Fred's office called this week and asked if I'd be around late Friday. They asked me to stand up by the turn to the boathouse and say the road was being worked on. I was to let only 2 people through. I can't identify them. They were wearing stockings over their head when they came by. They were driving a white Mercedes, older. I should have gotten suspicious then. They were dressed all in black. I owed Fred a favor. He got some money owed to me from a distributor in Europe. I feel terrible about this. I'm so sorry. I finally couldn't sit with my conscience.
I think these must be the disappearing Elias brothers. We don't have a single lead on them. I find it odd that they could have killed Brett in the way that he was killed from a boat. It just doesn't make sense. I think someone else is the killer.
Really, Lucy? Huh.
You still have time to make another arrest, Detective. Good luck.
Unless someone's arms are very, very, very long, I doubt that they got strangled from a boat out in the water. So, yeah, Lucy, I think you're right. I think somebody else did it. So, alright, so since we got the time, and I am curious again about what we're told, let's give Amos a try. We can give him the same money and business reasoning, because obviously he was vested with the whole outcome of the Fossil Cove deal. He doesn't have an alibi.
Your stated alibi in the warrant application does not match the suspects. Please try again, Detective.
Huh? Oh, sorry. He was alone driving. I have to specify. If that really is that, if that's all it takes, then I'm sorry. I'm surprised that they didn't let that other one go.
Excellent work, Detective.
Okay.
You've put together a fine case. I grant you a warrant to arrest the suspect. I hope you found your murderer.
Amos Johnson does live with a man, but his difficult personal situation is that apparently he's in love with a woman. Her name is Beth Wasatch, and they were together all Friday afternoon. Neighbors saw them enter her apartment yesterday at around 5:30. His male companion, George Ruggins, confirms that he knew that Amos was seeing someone on the side. I think he was a little surprised to find out that it was a woman. This rules Johnson out.
You still have time to make another arrest, Detective. Good luck.
Well, I guess in Beth's case, it rules Johnson in. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get one of those in tonight. All right, so let's see. So that leaves us with our most likely of all the suspects in this scenario, Jason Turley. 5 to 7 hands. It's got to be hatred. Let's go with that, right? So we know. Let's see. I think at this point we can. This is only for Al. This one's only for Braxton. That one's only for Amos. This one I think is also only for Kinsella. So it's either circumstantially or confirmed by interested party, or he was just alone. So I'm going to go with the alone first. I guess we'll find out if the judge allows it. Yeah.
Detective, you're halfway there. The autopsy should be ready by now, shouldn't they?
Your stated alibi in
I
the
know
warrant
it.
application does not match the suspects. Please try again, detective.
Alright, so Jason 5-7 hatred. We're gonna go with, I guess in that case, circumstantially only.
Your stated alibi in the warrant application does not match the suspects. Please try again, detective.
Confirmed by interested party then. I don't know. Anomaly, so it's none of this stuff. It's either gonna be can't be confirmed was alone driving.
Your stated alibi
I guess
in the
so.
warrant application does not match the suspects. Please try again, detective.
Man, if I end up having to use up all my time just getting Jason to confess to murder here. Hatred. Alright, let's try this one.
It's your chief speaking. Only 2 hours left to solve this murder. The Chamber of Commerce is having a conniption fit about this. They say murder is all wrong for their vacation image. You're telling me.
Excellent work, detective.
All right,
You
finally.
put together a fine case. I grant you a warrant to arrest the suspect. I hope you found your murderer.
Here we go.
So I killed him. Who cares, huh? His mother? Boo-hoo. I made a lot of people glad. He deserved it. I did it.
Damn.
Outstanding work, detective. I probably couldn't have solved this case as fast myself. What? Are you after my job?
Well, that was quite the psychotic confession. But there we go. So that was it. We actually just, in under an hour, we just got the third and final scenario done for our third virtual murder case of the environmental surfer. Awesome. Well, that, as you guys have probably, if any of the, I think the 5 or 6 subscribers I have right now have been keeping up, this particular virtual murder series had 4 cases to them, so 4 games. So now we just got done with number 3. We've got our 4th and final case upcoming is the case of the undressed reporter who killed Taylor French. That one is actually going to feature the same general. There we go, just so you can see the little icon there. It's going to feature the same format. We're going to have one murder victim, but again 3 different scenarios, and with each scenario a unique method of murder. There's some alliteration for you. So that'll be cool to have. Again, as they develop more of these games, they kept introducing a lot more variety into the scenarios so that there wasn't as much repetition as the basic blueprint that we got with Sam Rupert's case. And so we can get a little bit more playtime out of it and kind of play around with things like the alibis and times and locations of suspects and all of that. In some cases, it's cool to see if they tie in some loose ends, depending on how the scenarios play out. Just so we're not left, with things that are kind of either incomplete or inexplicable, But I think we're in good shape here. We got number 3 done finally, and once again, like I said at the beginning, I'm sorry that it's been such a very long time in between uploads. I'm not going to go into details about it because some of it is personal, but needless to say, with that, there's also been time to get a good perspective on life in general. While this is fun to do and kind of, take a trip down memory lane with playing these games that I had at my disposal when I was a lot younger. Obviously, during all this, real life is going on, and again, some of it's not so pleasant. Some of it has been, but hopefully, this is going to be the first in a series of more frequent uploads. I know I've said that in the past, and like I said, life happens, so sometimes it's just unavoidable. But now that we've got this case wrapped up in its entirety, we're going to be back next time with a whole new case, and starting right from the very beginning with the first scenario for Who Killed Taylor French. Until that point, this is Beacon of Hype, thanking you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.